Can Deputy, do you have the ability to,
Deputy Mott, the judge wants to speak to you.
I don't think the headset must not be working because I'm getting the other inmate in there coming through here.
He's saying he's talking too loud. Or he said
another hearing.
I understand, but is his headset working? Because normally, if he's on a headset, I don't hear all that.
He said normally when he's on a headset, he doesn't hear all of that.
Yeah, like the judge is saying that he's on, says he can't hear him, he needs him to talk louder.
Did you hear that, Judge?
I did.
Okay.
Well, it's kind of in the background now, so let's give her a shot.
Okay.
Tell the other judge to talk quieter.
He said I might have to cover the microphone with my hand while I'm not talking.
If you could do that, that'd be awesome.
Okay.
All right. All right, let's be on the record in case number 2017CR336, captioned State of Kansas versus D'Angelo Matlock. Would the parties announce their appearances, please?
May it please the court, Your Honor, the State of Kansas appears by Crystalline Oswald, Deputy District Attorney.
And Your Honor, the defendant D'Angelo Madlock, that's M-A-D-L-O-C-K, appears in person and with counsel Paul Dent.
All right. We are here set down for a revo hearing. It looks like this motion was filed back in December of 2019. It alleged a number of violations on behalf of the defendant. Mr. Dent, have you and your client had an opportunity to review those allegations? And does he have a position today?
Yes, Judge. What is today, the 5th of January? And I visited with him on December 30th, just before the new year at the detention center. We went over the motions and the violations alleged. Let me tell you what his response would be. To number one, failure to submit to random UAs. It's correct that he did have missed UAs. It's correct that he also had some positive, I believe they were for THC marijuana. So that basically is true. Number two, failure to address court fees. There certainly is a balance remaining. He thinks he did make a $100 payment. I don't have any receipt or anything to show that, but there's no question there's some balance still owed. Number three, we do deny that. My client would testify to the court that he's been employed by ProPac, P-R-O-P-A-K Corporation at 40, where they repair pallets for approximately the last 11 months, full time. So he does state that he does have employment. Number four, the substance and mental health eval. I do see that there was an assessment for alcohol and drug back in March of 18. I think the motion confirms that. He tells me he did do some outpatient treatment through Salvation Army, and I don't have any certificate proving that or any other paperwork to back that up. But that's what he's telling me, Judge. Number five, failed to report. Yes, he has failed to report. He's been in the area. He hasn't encountered anything like that. Well, I'll let the court go ahead, and then we'll come around to disposition, I'm sure.
All right. So basically, stipulation to the UAs, to the not paying the balance, and to not reporting. Ms. Oswald, do you accept those stipulations?
Yes, I just want to clarify. It seems to me that Mr. Dent is saying that he did at some point have a failure with the employment, but that he rectified that and maybe just didn't provide proof, because if it's 11 months, then when they would have filed this motion, it seems like it is correct that he was not employed, but then their argument is that he got employed shortly thereafter. Is that accurate?
Yeah. And D'Angelo, you heard me tell the judge those things. Are they accurate?
Yes, sir. And also, like, I've got my GED, and recently I've been accepted to college too. So
okay. But ProPac, when did you start working for them?
I started working for them in, let's say, March. I think it was March. I want to say the 22nd of 2019.
2020.
Or yeah, 2020. I'm sorry, 2020.
Okay.
All right. So state's accepting those stipulations. Are we ready for disposition today?
The state's ready.
All right, state, I'll ask, so the defense can respond. What's your position as disposition today?
You know, Judge, no one's going to like it, but I'm asking for revocation. And here's the reason why. This is a case where Mr. Matlock was told in no uncertain circumstances by Judge Clapper what was going to happen if he did not act correctly during this probation. And I am not typically somebody to be as hard-lined about what happens at a sentencing and everything else. But his responses to what he's been doing for the last year are non-existent. What he's been doing since he had the warrant out, how he said he stayed around town, but yet he couldn't call in to anybody and give any information about what's happening with him. He says he's been employed, but no proof has been made. He says that he thinks he went to Salvation Army, but he doesn't know how to prove that to anybody. My frustration is he should have gone to prison originally. I asked vehemently for him to go to prison originally. That's what the victim wanted. He scared this victim with what he did. None of the items could be returned. He indicated he was going to give help to try and return the items. None of that came to fruition. I'm not necessarily saying it's his fault that didn't come to fruition. I'm not alleging that he lied to the officers about where he thought the items went. But the bottom line is this victim is in no better position on the day he was sentenced than after. So any argument or belief that his time on probation was going to try and make the victim whole, was going to pay back any restitution, was going to get any items back to him has not happened. And instead, he has flipped a big middle finger to the court about what he's done and done absolutely nothing. He's been high on drugs. He's been missing appointments. He's been completely out of contact. We've had a warrant out for months. And the judge was quite clear with him that it was a gift. And I'm pretty sure that's what Judge Clapper called it at the sentencing, that it was a gift he was providing by not sending him to prison when he arguably should under the law at the time that he was sentenced. And the state can see no fruitful anything from his probation other than he at some point got a substance abuse evaluation. And I believe that that is certainly enough for your honor to make the findings, particularly when he was presumptive prison in the first place, that he is no longer amenable to probation. Now, I realize that the request by probation was for a 3-day sanction. And so I understand that your honor may not take any of that into account given what the requests are and what we're dealing with COVID and all of those things. But I am still requesting it because I believe in this instance, unfortunately, that it is the appropriate response.
All right. I do have a question for Ms. Holliday. In part of her motion, she talked about some sort of insurance settlement, and that wasn't very clear to the court. Ms. Holliday, what kind of insurance settlement were you talking about, and how did you find out about that?
Okay, so DeAndre stopped reporting last year before Christmas in 2019. The last time he reported to me, he said that he had planned on paying off his restitution because of I think it was an automobile accident that he was getting monetary claim for. And so I worked with him. We talked about him investing, talked about him possibly starting up his own business because at the time he wasn't working and couldn't find work. D'Angelo just stopped reporting. He stopped communicating with me. I stopped being able to reach his child's mother to get in contact with him. I even saw D'Angelo at Walmart, and I told him just to call me and just let's sit down and talk, like what's going on, what was he thinking. He failed to do that, and I waited 2 months before I even filed the motion, trying to give him a chance to come in and report, and he failed to do so.
All right. Well, Mr. Madlock, here's I've heard what everybody has to say except for you.
Judge.
So if you want to respond to anything your lawyer, the state, or your probation officer said, now's the time.
Judge, excuse me just a moment.
Yep.
Regarding disposition, I kind of got into that when we were discussing the response to the allegations, but I haven't really spoken to disposition in response to what the prosecutor just said. May I do that? Sure.
You need breakout with him?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Okay. Sure.
And I'd like my client to speak too, but let me say this, Judge. I think Crystalline said that the DA was opposed to probation. I hope I didn't misunderstand. I'm looking at the petition to enter plea of guilty that was filed. It states parties will recommend probation to community correction, 36 months. So the district attorney, when this plea was entered into, did recommend probation.
Mr. Dent, if you remember though, that then he didn't get sentenced, remember? So we did have that recommendation, and then he failed to appear at sentencing and a bench warrant was out. And so at the actual sentencing, that recommendation was not made any longer because he had failed to appear at the previous sentencing.
Okay.
Yeah. You're right about that. I don't want to mess it up, but.
Okay, thank you. Let me say a few things also, Judge. And as you, or I think actually Chrislyn pointed out as well, that the probation office did recommend tier 1 sanctions. There have not been any sanctions in this case as of this point. And our statute seems to indicate that, generally speaking, the court should grant sanctions as a step before going all the way to the very extreme measure of revoking probation. If the court were to revoke probation, in this case, my client would have to serve 79 months, which I think was the original sentence in this case. He loses job, and I'm sorry I don't have any proof of job. And I mentioned that to my client when I saw him in jail last week. He is in jail, didn't have the opportunity to get any pay stubs or anything to present to me. And if you want to continue this so I can try and obtain something like that, that would be fine, Judge. He gave me an awful lot of specifications. He not only told me the name of the employer, he told me his hourly rate, his hours, and all that sort of thing. So I just feel under our statute, a sanction would be more proper in this particular case. So that's what I'm going to request. The court follow along with the recommendations of the probation office, who is going to be the one that's going to be dealing with him. It's a 3-year probation, so certainly there's time. I would think that if the court does allow my client to continue on probation, he's going to have to come up with some money on court costs. He tells me he's working, that he's making pretty good money. I asked him, well, why haven't you paid some money down? And I don't have a great answer for that, Judge. I don't think he does either. But I assume if the court does see fit to continue him on probation, he's going to have to do some things or it's going to be bad for him. So again, this isn't a great looking case where it's been a year since the motion was filed, and we had a hearing a year ago, and he's been out and about since then and really hasn't done a whole lot for the court, but he's done something for his life, Judge. He did get that GED. He's become full-time employed. We have a lot of people on probation who don't do as much as he has. And if he is revoked and has to go serve the prison sentence, he won't have the opportunity to continue to do those things. So, Judge, respectfully, we do request that you enter tier 1 sanctions and find that basically, I think he's been in jail, I don't know, a week or two already, that maybe he's already served a tier 1 sanction. That's all I have, Judge.
It's been in 15 days, just so everyone knows.
Okay. All right, Mr. Madlock, now's your opportunity to tell me what you want me to know about what's been going on for this last year.
Last time when I got out, it was a lot. It was new. Getting back out, there was a lot of other problems. I had another son. I've been trying to change my life around since I got, I went on the run or whatever. I got a job. I've been working. I got my GED. I got accepted to college, something I never thought would have happened. I was honestly I was tired of running. I was tired of, looking over my shoulders and stuff. Whenever I came in here this time, I was, completely honest with the officers. I have a warrant, blah, blah, blah. And they brought me in here. I was perfectly fine. They were awesome people, They told me to write a 5-year plan, and I did, and I'm seeing things that I wrote in my 5-year plan come to pass, Yeah, and I'm just asking for, another chance to go home and be with my children, because I don't want anybody else to come in their life and influence them the wrong way. I actually know what it's like to come in here. I'm not a criminal. I don't do criminal activity anymore. Yeah, I got mixed up smoking weed, but since I've quit, I don't smoke weed. I don't do any of that. I literally work, work full time. My school was supposed to start yesterday, Your Honor. I'm just asking that you send me back home to be with my kids, and I have money saved up. I've been saving up money so I can make a payment on my restitution. I did when I got out last time. I wrote a letter to the victim, like I said I would whenever I went to court with Judge Clapper, and the victim actually wrote me back, and we came to a mutual agreement. I just, haven't had time to come around, to making a payment, but I do have some money to make a payment, Your Honor.
So how much money you have saved up right now?
Right now, I have about $750 saved up in a bank account.
What do you get for that insurance settlement that Miss Holiday was talking about?
I actually lost the settlement. My significant other won her claim, but it was a lot less than we thought it would be. She won I think about six grand, but she had other plans with her money. Can't really, I don't really have claim to her money, but I actually lost my part of the settlement because at the time I wasn't driving and I didn't go to the hospital because I was too worried about her and her injuries. She was pregnant with my second son, and I was too worried about what was going on with her.
Who was your lawyer?
I
object to that because that's not the language in
I forget his
I personally know Stephen Macumber.
You forget your lawyer's name?
He's not my lawyer. He's her lawyer. I don't really know her lawyer.
Somebody, you said you lost your claim. Who was representing you in that claim?
I can't remember his name. I didn't really talk to him that often. He just called whenever.
Let me ask you this. Did you lose your claim because you didn't participate with your lawyer and do the things you had to do to prosecute that claim?
It was because I didn't have injuries. I didn't sustain enough injuries. I didn't have enough, hospital bills or anything like that. I never went to the hospital. It wasn't a major, car accident like that.
D'Angelo, was it an auto accident, personal injury claim?
There was.
Okay. And did your lawyer, I don't know who it was, did he tell you unless you have $2,000, you don't have an action for pain and suffering? And so you yourself didn't have an action, but your girlfriend who was in the car with you, maybe she did have more medical bills.
Yes, so she did. She has a metal hit. She
got a settlement for $6,000 and she kept all the money to herself.
She didn't. I didn't say she kept all the money to herself, but she did have other plans. She didn't want to spend all her money on my court stuff. You know what I mean?
Okay, I apologize if I misstated. What happened to her settlement money, and did you get any settlement money?
It was her settlement money. She bought a car that, it was her car, but, she got me back and forth to work and stuff. She got herself an apartment, she bought a lot of clothes and stuff. I don't have control over her money. You know what I mean? Like I said, I have control over my money. I have a savings account of my own. We don't have a joint bank account. I have my own. She has her own, but we come together to, pay the bills and stuff. But the $750 that I have in my account personally is my own personal money.
Okay, did you misstate did you tell the probation officer you were getting a personal injury settlement?
Because I thought that was whenever it was first, going through. We had first talked to the lawyer, so I really didn't know too much. My first car accident. So I was like, okay, well, we're talking to this lawyer. I forget his name, but we're talking to this lawyer, and he was talking like there was going to be money that we were going to get, and I didn't get my part of the money because I didn't sustain enough injuries.
Okay.
All right. Look, so tell me this. Miss Holliday tells me about running into you at Walmart and giving you the chance to call in and get straight with her and get going. Why didn't you take her up on that?
Honestly, it wasn't really, I honestly was scared. When I saw her, I was like, oh, I was like, man, that's a probation officer. And from my understanding, it wasn't like that. From my understanding, I was violated, you know, they were looking for me. And honestly, you know, I don't really have a good excuse to why I, you know, didn't show up. I don't. I know that I messed up. I do know I messed up, Your Honor. I do. I understand that.
All right.
And
So Mr. Dent tells me that you're making quite a bit of money. How much money do you make?
I make $14.50 an hour. I work from 3:30 in the afternoon till 3:30 in the morning. That's why I say I have money. I can make a payment.
How many days a week?
I work 4 days a week. I work Monday through Thursday. I'm off Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
So you're working more than 48 hours a week.
Yes.
You know, you talked about this letter you wrote to the victim. What'd you tell him?
I told him, you know, that I apologized, that I was, you know, I wasn't in the right state of mind. You know, me and him we were close before that. You know, he lived across the street from my parents. And, you know, it was really a misunderstanding that, you know, I acted horribly on. You know, I made a mistake. I was younger. Like I said, since then I've had children. I'm trying to teach them, you know, the
Did you tell him that you were going to make him whole, that you were going to pay his restitution? I'm not worried about court costs. I don't.
Yes, I did.
People for not paying their court costs.
I did
I'm
tell
worried
him
about victims who are out money.
No, I did tell him that I was gonna do my best to make sure that I paid him back, and he was fully understanding. Like I ran into him a couple of times. You know, he shook my hand at the store. Like he's an understanding guy. He's a lot older than I am. You know, and you know he understood. He understood that I made a mistake, and that's all it was. It was just a mistake, Your Honor.
So he was good to you, and you promised you'd make him whole. You're working, making I didn't $14.50 an hour, so you're making 30 some odd $1,000 a year, and you owe him about $3,000, right?
Yes, sir. And I can you know I can do my part. I plan on doing my part. There, you know, there's other living expenses. You know, I pay rent. That money that she got is like long gone. I've been paying rent. I've been paying the bills myself. I've been taking care of my children, and I've been saving up, you know, for that. You know, Your Honor, I've come into opportunities that I never thought I would have had, Your Honor.
Look, Mr. Madlock, I went back through the case because I wasn't your sentencing judge, and I looked specifically through the journal entry. And there was an entry in that journal entry that caught my eye because I don't ever see it in other ones. It's where it says the judge advised you that since this was a departure sentence, that you were supposed to go to prison, but he was letting you go to probation, that he didn't have to go through the tiered sanction stuff anymore, right? So he was clearly warning you that you don't get what those people who were presumptive probation, which is if you come in on your first time, you haven't committed a new crime, I need to give you 3 days and send you on your way. If you had appeared sometime on your own within the last year and started doing all of those things that you're telling me that you're going to start doing today, you'd have got 3 days and walked out of here. See, you had to be found. You had to be pulled in. Nobody's gotten anything.
I wasn't found,
from you,
Your Honor. I wasn't found.
You know, the great thing about working, I think that's wonderful. And I think there's a reason that we require people as part of probation to work. My biggest concern about you working was making that victim whole, paying anything. You paid nothing. Do all this. You make a good living. You live with a lady who I don't know what she does for a living, but she got an insurance settlement.
She doesn't do anything for a living. She doesn't work for a living.
But she got an insurance settlement. So you guys are living pretty well.
No,
Meanwhile, the
she owed
victim
her
still out
mother
his
for her car.
$3,000.
I'm sorry, I can't make a record with
Sorry,
both
All right. I
I'm
listened to
sorry.
what you had to say, Mr. Matlock. Now you get to listen to what I had to say.
I'm sorry, Your Honor.
All right. You had all the opportunity in the world. You had a job, a home, a family. You had every motivation to do your probation. You were given I've never heard of a better chance than when you run into your probation officer who has you on warrant and says, hey, come in and see me. Let's get this straight. She doesn't run to call security and the cops and say, hey, arrest this guy. He's got a warrant. She tries to give you another break. I'm assuming what she heard from you was, yeah, Miss Holiday, I thank you. I'll be in to see you. And nothing.
Yeah.
So I'm look, does it suck that you're losing your job? If in fact there is one there and that your child doesn't get the support that they should get, yeah. Okay. But you've made this bed and you've really tied the court's hands. You were warned at the start. You didn't get extra chances like people you were being given your extra chance by giving probation in the first place. And this isn't a couple of technical violations. This isn't smoking a little bit of weed. Any of that with me, you get out. But what this was for the last year is a complete refusal to do anything that the court told you to do. Not one thing about paying your restitution, visiting your probation officer, dropping your UAs, getting your substance abuse evaluation, none of it.
I did get my
So
substance abuse.
you have earned what Judge Clapper warned you would get if you did what you did. So therefore, I am revoking your probation and ordering you to serve the sentence originally imposed.
Your Honor, please.
Excuse me, let me, hold on, D'Angelo. Judge, I hear what you say. If I just want to reiterate, if he's got a job, he's going to lose it. And I know what you're saying, Judge. I hear all that. But if you would continue this disposition, that would give me the opportunity to get some proof of his income, proof of the savings, have him make a substantial payment, it sounds like, to the court, all these things. And Judge, I understand it's been a year. A lot of stuff hasn't happened, but we have other people that go a year, they commit new crimes. They've got new felonies on their record, things like that. Judge, I hear everything you're saying, but this is, I believe, pretty extreme. And in fact, he has done his substance abuse evaluation. The motion confirms that. So I want the court to understand that. There are plenty of other cases where people don't get their monies paid. We've had this COVID going on with it, which has restricted people's ability to get out and about. I just asked the court to give me a little time if you would continue the disposition. Let me come up with proof of employment, the money for.
See, I wrote a letter to
I
the
request-
secretary and to.
Here's the, hold on, you broke up at the end, Paul, and I don't think Amanda was able to catch that ending.
Well, I guess I kind of repeated myself at the end that the motion does confirm that Mr. Madlock did complete a substance abuse evaluation. So what he didn't do was drop UAs, had some THC marijuana positive UAs, didn't pay, but he didn't have a new felony conviction stuff. He does have a job, and if the court would see fit to continue this disposition rather than revoking today, for me to get some proof of not his behalf have been taken to court, I'd like to have that opportunity, Judge. And perhaps the court could reconsider then.
Here's the problem I have, Mr. Dan, is that in this particular case, normally having a job would be something that is a credit towards a defendant for doing the things he needs to do. My problem is how he can work here for a year and not make a single payment.
Something about due to the
You know,
threat
it's great
of the
that he
offender.
has this job,
First, I'm entitled
but
to
it's
process.
in the court's opinion, in this particular case, a bigger strike against him
There's also
that he
a provision
had
that
this
states that a parole
well-paying,
officer is required
long-hour
to,
job, and he
rehabilitate, to work
refused
with. How is this
to
rehabilitation or
pay
working with when
court
you're threatening
costs,
to violate my
probation
conditions and you're
fees,
not
and
complying with my policy
most
or
important,
more?
restitution to the victim in this
Then
case.
she stated that
He
it is
he
the
didn't show
process
up for
to
his
not pick
original
people up and
sentencing.
transfer them
He
while they
apparently
have
doesn't
issues pending if they post bail. If they
believe
post bail, then we just keep
that
them.
there
Oh, no, that's
is
not true because in State versus Henderson, Charles
repercussions for these kind of things.
out of Johnson
And I
County.
don't look, if I
Obviously,
had
it's still
any
pending.
reason
KDOC
to
came and picked
believe
him up. He
that
went to
when
Lansing
that I
Correctional.
let him out and he went on
They
probation,
They
that he
violated
would
the KSA
do what he needed to
75-5217
do,
subsection A and B,
then
just like they did in
I
Lansing.
would
And
consider
in
it.
which case he filed a
But I want this to be clear in what we talked about earlier, when I said that they came out and got him and he said he didn't. I don't want it to be left with the impression that Mr. Madlock presented himself to the jail and said, I have a warrant, I want to clear up. He was arrested in a domestic violence incident and also had a KCK warrant along with this probation warrant. So it's not like he decided that he was tired of running and that he was coming in to start doing what he needed to do. He was arrested. Yes, Mr. Madlock.
Your Honor, it was whenever I got arrested, it was because somebody else made a call saying that it sounded like somebody was getting into it, but really we were just having had a few family members over. And
okay, look, I'm not revoking you because you're guilty or that you did this domestic violence. Not at all. That's not being held against you.
I understand.
But
I understand.
What I'm saying is any kind of impression that you turned yourself in voluntarily and you wanted to get this thing started, let's face it, if that person hadn't called the police and had them come out there for whatever reason it happened, you'd still be out there not doing anything, not paying anybody, not reporting to your probation officer, not dropping UAs. So I'm done arguing here.
No, Your Honor, I'm just please let me speak, please.
I let you speak. I will give you one more opportunity, but I'm telling you that your lack of explanation for why you disappeared for a year. Like I said, at any time, if you had come in, if you had taken up Miss Holiday on her offer to get you back in and get you going, you get your 3-day sanction and you're on your way.
Your Honor,
you decided not to do that.
It wasn't just like that. Whenever we ran into each other at Walmart, it wasn't just like that, Your Honor. Please, I have made changes to my life, Your Honor, positively. I'm begging you for just a chance, like even house arrest for however long. I can still work. I can pay him back. I can give you something like immediately when I get out. I can show proof of everything. Your Honor, please. I'm like my kids. Your Honor, please.
Probation is revoked. The defendant is ordered to serve his original sentence. He'll be credited for all his jail time. Other things for our record today.
No, Your Honor, I will email to Mr. Dent the electronic journal entry and then get it filed once he approves it.
We are adjourned.
What is, what's the backup time is 79 months?
79 months, and he's got about 195 days, give or take, and then of course a good time.